Hi, I'm Christa with the Big Family Homestead, and today I'm going to show you how we make a no-bake pan bread. It's delicious, it's super easy and fast. So for ingredients, we have 1.5 tablespoons of yeast, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 cup of warm water, 4.5 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil. You can use whatever oil you want, but this is what we like to use. 1 cup of yogurt and 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so a quick word on the flour. You can use all-purpose, you can use 00 flour, you can use bread flour, you can use wheat flour. It is all up to you, it doesn't matter. I would suggest though, if you use wheat flour, use less than the 4.5 cups. Because if you use the exact same amount as white flour, you will have bricks instead of a nice fluffy bread. All right, so first things first, we need to activate our yeast. And doing that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar to our bowl here, and then 1 cup of water to dissolve that sugar. You can use honey if you'd like. It doesn't have to be sugar. You can use whatever sweetener you'd like. It's just that sugar just helps to activate that yeast and get it nice and happy. And you know what? If you don't want to add sugar, don't. It's really all up to you. Now we're going to add our yeast, and we're just going to sprinkle this right on top. And that's 1.5 tablespoons, and we're just going to stir this up so that it can dissolve and start to activate. If after 5 or 10 minutes this is not all bubbly, then you need to dump this and start over with new yeast, because that's an indicator that your yeast did not proof, and you don't want to add any more ingredients to this because you won't have any activeness in your bread, and actually the yeast is then dead. That's why I say start with brand new yeast, not your old stuff. Okay, so now this is activated. This, you can see it's nice and foamy. So to this, we're going to go ahead and add our 4.5 cups of flour. And I'll start with a smaller amount, because it, depending on the amount of moisture that's in your air, depends on how much flour you actually need to add. If your air is really humid, you may need to add more flour. I'm going to add the yogurt now. And if you want to use a dairy, there's lots of dairy-free recipes for naan out there. This one, I just really liked how fluffy it was, and so I really enjoyed having the yogurt in there. 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil. And then our salt. I'm going to give that a good mix. All right, so the next step is we're going to knead this dough, and I'm going to go ahead and knead it in the bowl because I'm not sure if I'm going to need to add more flour to it. So I'm just going to knead it just like this, just spinning the bowl around and folding over the dough. What you're looking for is a nice smooth dough that's not sticky. You don't want it super dry. That's why I didn't add all of the flour, because if you add too much flour, it can be a super dry dough, and then you won't be able to roll it out or use it very well. It won't work right. All right, now it's ready. And it's not sticky, it's pliable. You press it in and it comes right back out. So it's done. So now what we'll do, now that this is done being kneaded, we're gonna go ahead and put it into a greased bowl, cover it with plastic or a towel, whatever you prefer, and let it double in size. It takes about an hour, hour and a half, depending on how warm your room is. All right, so it's greased, it's covered with oil, and then I'm just gonna cover it with a sheet of plastic here to keep it from drying out. We'll just put it in a warm place. Okay, so we've waited our time, and as you can see, this has more than doubled in size. Ding, 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 ding. It's like a basketball. Boing, boing, boing. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and put this out on the counter here. I'm gonna put just a touch of flour, not a lot. because I don't want to add a lot of flour, as it won't be able to roll it out very well. So just a little bit, just so that it doesn't stick on the counter here. And I'm not going to knead this. I'm just going to go ahead and divide this into several pieces, about 16 to be exact. You can make them whatever size you like. And they don't have to be exactly the same size, just roughly about the same, so that they all are the similar sizes. Okay, so here we have 8 pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and roll them into a ball so that we can start with a round shape. This recipe makes 16. You can, again, make them bigger or smaller depending on the size you would prefer. All right, now we have our dough subdivided into sections, and we're gonna go ahead and let these rest for a few minutes. I've already done that, so now we're gonna go ahead and roll them out. You don't want any flour on your counter, because if you've ever tried to roll out yeasty dough, it just kind of wants to shrink back up. You want that to be a little sticky. So we're just gonna roll this out, and you can roll it into whatever shape you'd like. It's just a preference. All right, so now our pan is heated up, and we're gonna take a pastry brush with your favorite oil. I like grapeseed oil. You can use coconut oil, you can use olive oil, it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna brush it on one side, sprinkle just a touch of salt on the outside, and then flop it in the pan. And while it's in there, I'm gonna brush the other side and salt that side. Now, a lot of people put herbs in it. We just don't. You can brush the oil on and then put the herbs on it. I prefer it just plain with a little bit of salt. All right, now you see all these little bubbles coming up? You want that, because then it's almost done on the other side. So we're gonna get ready to go ahead and flip it here in just a second. Almost. It takes about 1.5 minutes total cooking time. So while that one's cooking, you can go ahead and roll out another one because it's super fast. All right, we're gonna go ahead and flip this. Look at that. Delicious. All right, this one's ready. Look at that. Yummy. And now the next one's ready to go in. All right, lots of bubbles there. Let's go ahead and flip it. Look at that. Look at that. Nice and fluffy. So yummy. Oh my goodness. Super fluffy. This is so good. I'm giddy about these. These are so yummy. I love it. I'm Christa with the Big Family Homestead, and you have an amazing day. Cut. Hi, I'm Christa with the Big Family Homestead. Cut.
Looking and smiling.
Cut. Okay. Hi, I'm Christa with the Big Family. You shouldn't have done that. Rosy cheeks. Anyway, cut. I got a cramp in my arm. Right back here.
It's like, what are you doing? She's going into
my muscles kind of spazzed up there a little bit.